probably he and I should talk to each other, because he has already given the first 3 minutes of my good night by telling you of the tradition of the good night. So thank you very much, Sandy. Very kind of you. Do I start now, or do I go? Is there a board going tape?
I've been started for ages.
Do I look nice? It will be short. In 1940, in this country was one of the worst times for people, because in 1940 we were at war, and it looked like we were going to lose the war. And each night, many of the cities of our country were being bombed. One city that was bombed in the early months of 1940 was a city called Coventry. Coventry is not that far away from here, but this particular night, many planes came over and many bombs landed on the city of Coventry. In the middle of the city of Coventry was the old medieval Anglican cathedral. Anglican is the Church of England, the Protestant church. And that cathedral was heavily bombed. So the next morning, when the fires had died down and people came to the cathedral, the roof had gone, everything had collapsed into the centre of the cathedral. And where the altar had stood in the cathedral, the great timbers of the ceiling had crashed down onto the altar and smashed the altar. And for the people of Coventry, it was a real bad time for them. It was almost as if God had deserted them. His house was empty, and the altar, the table, was destroyed. It was almost as if they had been abandoned. But lying across where the altar had been were these huge timbers, and also in the timbers were the old nails, and the nails were about this long, medieval nails. And a few people were talking, and they salvaged these nails, and they said, in this really bad, desperate time, we need a symbol of hope. And with these nails that had come from the bombed church ceiling, they created a cross. This is an example of the cross, and you can see the nails. You can have a closer look later. And they put this as a sign of peace. And after the war, these crosses were made and were sent all over the world. And in many cathedrals in Europe, in Africa, in America, in South America, Central America, Australasia, you will find in the cathedrals one of these crosses, fashioned from nails, medieval nails from Coventry. And the reason why I want to share this with you tonight is because 60 or 70 years later, look around us. We have peoples now from many countries here, not at war, not fighting, but sharing lives together. And I think the people of Coventry 60 years ago would never have believed that that was possible, when their world seemed to end that night when their city was so badly bombed. So as a sign of hope, as a sign of the future, we have this cross, and we will have it here in our display for our whole camp. Good night.
Good night.